Bro, how you gonna be a DM and a player at the same time?
Boy, now it sounds like you trying to roll a new character. We know that this video is longer than our other ones, but we needed that extra time to explain in detail one of the most important parts that you would need to enjoy this game to its fullest.
And unfortunately, that means getting through all the boring ass math and all the reading first, but we promise, homie, it's worth it.
What's up guys, I'm Alex, he's Josh, welcome back to Homie Checkpoint. Today we'd like to focus on the character sheet and how to understand this absolute monster of a document, especially if it's your first time playing.
And if you're only here to prove to your DM that he's dumb, well, good news for you, we're going to have a timestamp down below in the description, boyo.
Now as mentioned in our previous video, it's going to be up there if you want to watch it. There are several ways of storing the character sheet, from old pencil and paper to PDFs to, you know, handy dandy smartphone apps.
After spending hours figuring out how to house your character sheet like you were picking your first starter Pokemon, well, boy, I got some news for you. You gotta fill out this atrocity yourself, and I know that sucks, man, but it is what it is.
Now, this is where that class and race you picked before come into play, and more than that, you're gonna need to roll for your stats.
If you haven't picked your class or your race yet, boy, then what the hell you doing? More slow your roll. Go study.
Now, once you're done filling out the character sheet, it should look something like this. Now, the most important set of information on your character sheet are your ability scores. Now, depending on your DM, they might have you roll for your ability scores, or if, you know, they kinda lame, they'll make you use a standard array, is what we're gonna be using here today.
These numbers will decide just how skilled your character is at life. Like, dude, I'm talking, if your fighter rolls good, he can end up being that Chad that just breaks through insanely strong walls with his buns of steel. Divine yes roll! Or the version whose morning wood can barely lift the fabric of his underwear. Damn. Real talk though, like, most of us in real life have pretty much 10s, give or take, in every stat. So if you roll like an 11, you doing okay. But we playing a game. You don't want to be you.
I mean, yeah, I don't want to be me either, but since we all know you want to play Goku wielding the Infinity Gauntlet with the power of Jesus Christ himself, now if you want to get that done, you better get rolling, boy.
Yeah, bro, and once you roll them, it's time to plug them in. So basically, without going into too much detail, this is what most of your ability scores is pretty much going to, this is what they do.
Hey bro, you wanna try this like super fucking hot shit?
Fuck it, why not?
Hey man, yo, let me go get you a spoon real quick.
The fuck I look like, bro? You know where we live. You can't leave the house without a spoon.
Bro, you right.
Fuck, man.
Think!
Ain't that bad. If you say it ain't that bad, I mean, oh, ah! God.
Fuck, he needs some milk.
God.
I don't need that.
Oh, God.
Here we go. Kathy, grab his arms. Come on. It's not that hard. It'll be easier if he can't see it coming.
What?
Don't worry. Don't panic.
Your proficiency bonus applies to any skill that you chose to have proficiency in. It gives you a small bonus to start with, and it shows your character's growth by getting larger as you play the game. Now, up under proficiency, we have these little things called saving throws.
Hey homie, you trying to get scorched to the earth by a big ass fireball, or maybe you like freaking took a big old swig of that purple liquid that they told you not to drink, but you was like, man, fuck y'all, I don't do what I want. Bro, and now your stomach feeling a little rumbly. I'm gonna tell you what, bro, it's time for a saving throw.
Saving throws are basically how your character avoids danger at any given moment, and you add your proficiency bonus to these rolls based on your class. Now in Dingus's case, he has proficiency in Constitution and Strength saving throws. You can expect to be rolling these a lot, especially in dungeons and super especially against casters. Now up next we have this not so little thing called the skill list. If you imagine D&D, now whether it's for the meme or for the most intense roleplay of your life, and I mean actual tears here, skill checks are in some way, shape, or form involved.
It'll take a whole lot more time than we got right here to fully explain the skill list, which is why we did y'all the liberty of uploading this video in the future.
So to make it easier to understand, each one of the skills is tied to one of the ability scores. So if you picked a skill from the skill list, you would check off the little bubble right next to it. And it should also be noted, for the ability scores, only even numbers provide an increase in the modifier. So whereas a 12 would be a +1 and 11 would be a +0. So you should keep this in mind when you're plugging in your ability scores.
Bro, I just told them 11 was good.
Well, now you look foolish, don't you?
Important part of the game that's often overlooked by newer players is the passive perception score. Now this is how good you are at noticing stuff without actually paying attention. You don't want to get surprised, do you? You better do some math.
And it's calculated as such.
This bit of the game can either save Dingus's ass or it gives the DM an opportunity to do some sneaky stuff. Next important bit of information on your sheet is your AC. So basically this just comes up to how hard you are to hit. Maybe you're wearing some thick boy plate armor and you're just super hard to hit because everything they throw at you just bounces off. Or maybe you're an agile homie and you just go woo and you dodging everything the DM throws at you, frustrating the piss out of him as he just keeps trying to hit you.
Now if you're unarmored, your AC will be calculated as such. Now some armor types offer bonuses while some offer flat values. So in Dingus's case, since he's wearing chainmail, his AC is a flat 16, no extra bonuses.
You got that? Good. Next we're moving on to initiative. This little block right here helps determine turn order in combat, and most of the time is just calculated by your dex mod. There are some rare instances where it's affected by your class, but not many. Make sure you're doing your reading.
Okay, so right next to initiative, we have something called speed. Now, speed is what determines how fast your character can move in a single round of combat, which is roughly 6 seconds. Your speed is usually determined by your race, but can sometimes be affected by your class. After that, we have hit point, which is how close your character is to dying at really any given moment. So when you level up, you can take the median of your class's hit die. In Dingus's case, that hit die is a D10, which means he could take 6, or he could chance rolling and go for the full 10. Though at first level, you take the maximum value of your class's hit die plus your Constitution modifier for help.
After that, we got temporary hit points, which don't come up very often. However, if it does come up, just get your DM to explain it, because I'm not about to do all the work for you, bro. God dang. So you've been knocked out, huh? Well, welcome to Death Save Roulette, buckaroo. I hope you like crippling anxiety as you watch the die fly out of your hand and bounce off the walls of the tray, just to fail and know that you're going to have to do all this bullshit twice.
Now, the death saves section of the character sheet is where you keep track of how many pass or fail death saves your character has. Anything above a 10, that's a pass. Anything below a 9, well, that's a fail. 3 passes, you're stabilized at 1 hit point. 3 fails, well, you know what happens. Your character's dead. Now, keep in mind, there are no modifiers added to this roll. There are some very specific classes that give you advantage on death saves, but they are very rare. Keep in mind that a natural 1 on the death save is 2 automatic fails, while a natural 20 is an automatic 3 successes, you're brought back at 1 hit point, and you still have your turn to do what you want. Below the death saves box is the attacks and spellcasting box. Now this is what you're going to be using to keep track of the attacks and spells that you're going to be defaulting to, so you don't have to go and search and rummage through your notes for something you should have memorized last session.
Now we all know that reading is garbage, bro, so if we can do anything to eliminate the amount of eye to page contact, bro, I'm all for it. See, so Dingus, he's got a long sword, like a McLong dog, if you will. So when Dingus uses his McLong dog to try to hit something, he's going to roll a D20, he's going to add his strength modifier, as you can see here. Now, if he does manage to hit it, what he's going to do is his damage die, which for a McLong dog is a D8. And then he's going to once again add his strength modifier, giving him the total damage that he would do to this thing with his McLong dog.
As for this box right here, this is the languages and other proficiencies box. This is where you would put any languages your character knows. Now these languages they come mostly from your race, but they can sometimes come from your classes. And where you would also put any tool proficiencies your character has. So in Dingus's case, he doesn't have any tool proficiencies. And tool proficiencies mostly come from classes. So if he were to, let's say, multi-class into Rogue, he would gain proficiency with Thieves' tools.
Lastly, on the front page is the equipment section. Now this is the place where like all that nifty crap, like the loot you get from adventures or any extra stuff you get from your race or class would go. Like all that stuff that you just can't find where it goes, just throw it here. I even use it to keep my old DeviantArt password so I don't forget, because never forget. The whole right hand side of this page is just for flavor, and I ain't talking about glue.
Literally no one thought you meant glue, bro.
Basically, this section is where you fill out the little like bitty details of your character. You really get into who they are, how they perceive the world, how the world perceives them. This is where your role play is going to come from. The second page is also mostly for flavor too. And dude, just fill it out however you want to, man. I'm not going to babysit you. Please, just do your job.
Okay, so see this last page here. Now this page is for spellcasting, which of this moment right now, Dingus doesn't have access to. So we're not going to go into too much detail here because the complex art of spellcasting definitely deserves its own video. But we are going to give you a quick rundown so you at least aren't going in completely blind. Okay, so if you were to play a caster class such as the Wizard, for example, you would need to refer to the Wizard spell list when you're picking your spells. So if you're playing a level 1 Wizard, you would really only have access to level 1 spells and cantrips. Leveled spells aren't to be confused with your character level. They do share some correlation, but for the most part, they're very different. Cantrips are different from leveled spells in the sense that you don't have to expend a spell slot to use one. You can use them at will. They're usually made up of weaker magical effects and some that do, honestly, just kind of cute amount of damage, not a lot.
I mean, a lot of cantrips are kind of but you can do some funny little juju with mage hand, I guess.
Now, actual spells in D&D require you to use something called spell slides, which for better or worse is a magic management system. So you aren't just running around spamming 9th level spells whenever you run into a problem.
The valiant warrior looks to you and chuckles. Not a fan of dragon poon, eh? Looks like you need to be taught a lesson.
Oh, chill, bro, chill. We can solve this. We mean no harm. Just
Meteor swarm!
man. Next up, we got the spellcasting ability box, which covers which ability score modifier you add when casting spells. If we stick with the wizard, then we'll be using intelligence. Beside that is the spell save DC bubble. See, the way this one works is anytime you cast a spell at somebody and they gotta make a saving throw, you gotta refer to this formula right here, and that's gonna tell you whether or not they're getting fucked up. Okay? So basically, the way it works is if they make a roll higher than this value, then they pass, and then you got to apply the rules that happen on a successful save, which most of the time is either going to be half damage or nothing. But if they get lower than this number, then they fail, and boy, you better do some shenanigans. Finally is the spell attack modifier, which is used the same way like you would use a bow or arrow or something. So basically, you would roll to hit, then you're going to add your spellcasting modifier, like for wizards, intelligence, and you add your proficiency bonus also. So it's going to go up against the AC, and if you hit them, you hit them. If you don't, you don't, bro. It's simple. Think.
Well, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you enjoy, and if you did, you can expect another one next week.
Yeah, bro. Like, come on, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Just hit the bell. Catch you homies later.